Hi guys, this is Nikki, also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the Awesome10X Philippine Market Update. It's January 18, 2021. Happy Monday. Let's begin. In the Philippines, we're going to talk about first the news about the African swine fever. So, Eastern Visayas has confirmed the first African swine fever case confirmed in Leyte Town, Tacloban City. The Department of Agriculture announced Friday night that blood samples taken from the hog Leyte have tested positive for African swine fever, and therefore the head, Angel Enriquez, said that the region's first case was detected in a backyard farm in the villages of Can Aporong and Bunga, where unusual swine mortality was reported late last year. They have launched an investigation and collected samples that January 6, 4 out of the 7 samples submitted to the Regional Animal Disease Diagnostics yielded positive results in the antigen detection rapid test. These positive samples would, of course, have the same result. 12. It was agreed during our coordination meeting to immediately implement control measures such as depopulation and proper disposal of the affected hogs, inventory of hogs in the identified areas, enforcement of strict border control, disease surveillance, and samplings. Guys, in a nutshell, that means that pork prices will rise if there is an existing African swine fever. So there is a report that approximately 250 billion pesos, based on official data, but CNAG said approximately worth around 300 billion pesos could be potentially affected due to this African swine fever. The losses could even swell at 135 billion. Written by Philippine star Luis Maureen Simeon on January 16, 2021. No respite seen prices. There might be a chance that the total hog industry would lose something like 6 million pigs already, and the problem is that it will be solved. It is a bigger problem. So guys, the Pork Producers Federation already said that the losses are now somewhere in a zone of about 14 points, that 5.5 million heads have already been lost. Estimates are too low. That's why we need to harmonize our data, the pro-pork president Edwin Chen said in a text exchange. Guys, it's really sad to hear about these bad news, but we have to report that this would actually have an effect on the food prices. It might be more expensive to eat pork nowadays because of the losses stemming from African swine fever. And it could actually even hit an inflationary rise on food. Consumers would not be able to eat a lot of pork and chicken if this swine fever creeps up to more areas within, it's now currently in Visayas, but we don't know what it has done in Luzon or Mindanao. So it's confirmed in Abuyog, Leyte. So those who are within that region are probably not eating pork for now. It could be, I don't know if it's going to take a while. Is it going to be a month, or a supply shortage would essentially mean that the prices of these meat products would actually rise. Now, there are already price monitoring saying that liempo or pork belly is 420 pesos. The pige is 450 pesos. A whole chicken today would cost 180 pesos. Cabbage is 220. Baguio peche is 180. Red onion and garlic is 140 pesos. Chili peppers like sili can even go as high as 1,000 pesos. So it is considered galunggong, the poor man's fish, but this is already 300 pesos per kilo from last December's 260. The breeder base is already shrinking so much. Chicken prices will likely go up. With all of these, Department of Agriculture saying that these involuntary effects from the impact of ASF is taking the toll. Please be careful for everyone eating chicken meat and pork. It's either two things. You either have supply shortage, which means an increase in prices. That's a sad story to tell. The other news that I want to share, at least some news, is that the Philippines is mulling increasing pork imports due to this impending supply shortage of our pork. Philippines is saying that Agriculture Secretary William Dar is willing to ensure a stable supply for the country by hiking pork imports in order to lessen the shortage supply. Pinag-aaralan po namin ang dagdagan ang minimum access volume to triple of what's allowed. as the African swine fever has been affecting at least 2,130 barangays. President Rodrigo Duterte is already preventing the entry and control of the spread of this animal-borne disease amid the ASF outbreak in some areas of the country. So guys, para sa mga mahilig kumain ng mga pork belly, ingat lang po tayo kasi baka mga impression ng liempo. All right, Philippines ends 2020 with a historic high of $110 billion reserves. The Philippines is ending last year with the highest amount of dollar reserves in the country as contracting and economy spent less for imports of raw mats and intermediate goods, and the government borrowed more from abroad to fund its fight against the pandemic. So far, we have $110 billion. This is higher by $5 billion based on end November 2020 levels. The latest JR represents, number one, it allows the market actually to be aware that the peso will be stable. It's going to be loose monetary policies. And with this number of coverage of our Philippine gross international reserves, that is a positive thing that at least for the next 12 months, the central bank can actually share that the balance sheet is adequate for issuing global bonds, borrowing money, and even in increases in gold holdings actually reflects a positive thing for our central bank because gold is currently at about $1840. In which our Philippine government has those. So the inflows are also partially offset by the national government prepayments of its payments of its foreign currency debt obligations. So net international reserves is it's better than before. It's above $5 billion from this December 31, 2020 versus November's 105 billion. So we are still the government is still seeking about $3 billion in World Bank loans. Healthy yung Philippine peso, so you can actually imagine that the dollar peso would be stable. And those are the two top news for you to really know. Magtataas ng presyo or malamang mahihirapan magbili ng mga pork belly for the next coming days because of the African swine flu. Now, in terms of restaurants, the biggest hit with that type of news, sino po ba ang mga malakas sa pork? Usually restaurants and homeowners will get a lot of effects. From a stock market perspective, I'd say that ang hog producer kasi sa Philippines natin is, I think URC has exposure. I'm not quite sure if Aboitiz Power has, because hindi ko masyado maalala kung Aboitiz sold some of their hog steak to URC. Pero ang direct impact, I think, when it comes to pork would be the restaurants and baka a little bit on URC. Actually, the news didn't even affect URC at all. Siguro kasi medyo hindi naman kasi talaga malaki yung percentage ng hog business inside URC, pero meron siyang konti. I think if you think about it, San Miguel Pure Foods has a lot of meat products. Baka may konti lang naman na tamaan si San Miguel Food and Beverage because it owns Pure Foods. Hindi ko sure kung may effect pero baka. From a restaurant perspective, mostly chicken talaga ang inputs ng kinakain ng Philippines. But pizza would somehow have pork, di ba? When you're eating meat lovers pizza. So I guess mahirapan mag-source ng mga pork prices given this African swine fever. Although siguro hindi naman siya super duper big factor on the cost. However, may factor pa rin. In other words, I'd say that if they drop, actually wala masyado kasi para bumaba lang naman to as healthy profit taking on your pizza. I think like even if pizza falls somewhere in the zone of about 7 peso, you might actually wait it out there if ever man. Just to be aware of the news. So Jollibee, I'm not quite sure if may effect siya, no? Pero restaurant-wide, ang burger mo kasi is beef, di ba? Beef burger. May pork ba yun? May mga pork ba yung mga burgers natin? I'm not quite sure pero alam ko beef, di ba? So in other words, may effect sa meat industry in general. So for the people who are selling a lot of meat products, mahihirapan pati the home-based entrepreneurs kasi tataas yung cost product nyo, yung input nyo, no? So mahirapan yung supply unless talagang ma-address ng mga imports of pork. So we'll see. I think like it will have a harder time. So if ever, use the opportunity for this African swine flu fever to to probably buy into some of your best companies in the Philippines at a cheaper price. Now, we don't know if it's going to fall 5 to 10%, but let's assume that it does. Assuming Jollibee falls from 194 for a 10% drop, 20 peso drop, around 174 to 168. Let's see if we can potentially enter at a lower entry. So pizza, JFC, let's take a look at your Maxes. Maxes naman puro chicken talaga eh. Actually, chicken talaga yung biggest consumption naman ng Philippines, hindi naman talaga pork. However, I'd say that syempre may konting effect pa rin yan, no? At some point in time, di naman lagi chicken kinakain ng Filipinos. So for those who are actually sourcing their meat products, may konting effect, I think, on the cost input. I'm not so sure how long that swine fever related news would impact our restaurants, but the cost would probably be higher, so babagsak ng konti yung income nila, albeit sobrang liit na nga ng sales kasi hindi naman masyado malakas mag-consume mga tao ngayon in a pandemic on restaurant and dine-in, even if may take-out, no? So Maxes, sige, let's assume the worst case muna, 680 minus 10%. Let's see if we can enter somewhere in the zone of 6 pesos or 6.2. So in general, I think like the restaurants and even the producers like San Miguel or URC, baka may konting effect. I'd say mga 5 to 10% would be pricing in that efforts on yung agriculture-related problem. Now, let's take a look at your Philippine market news, no? So the Philippine markets, take a look at your, so this is my WealthSet platform. Take a look, that Philippine index today is down 35 points, trading at 7,203. The top traded names are still a lot of, you would say they are tier 4 names, no? Mga penny stocks, or if not penny stocks, they have restructuring related efforts. So BSC, this is the fourth ceiling move already, trading at 30% higher, here at about 1.86. So 1.5 billion continues that momentum. However, I said like last week, I think that the momentum of BSC could probably trading within 1 to 2 pesos, no? So although mataas siya ngayon, si BSC, I'm also thinking that people who have BSC might actually be taking some profit on the way up, even if it goes higher, guys. So ingat lang, because this is already the 4th day ceiling after, of course, those gap ups. So ceiling siya sa 70 cents, ceiling pa siya din sa 105, right? And then so 1, 2, 3, 4, this is already the 4th move. And ingat lang, kasi usually, yun, tamaan siya sa dos. Kasi yung mga tao sa 1 peso below, pag 100% within 2 days, at some point, hindi naman natin sinabi na tapos na yung momentum. Pero the profit taking is going to prove higher as it goes higher. So mas may impetus to really take profits on a short-term basis. So on a short-term basis, congratulations to those who, of course, got this below 1 peso, no? So those who got in at 70 cents or those who got up ng 1 or whatever price you entered, good enough, you made about at least, no, naka 70 to 80% ka if you were buying those last 2 days. I'd say that the prudent thing to do of Awesome10X is actually to take profit if you have. But if you don't have, don't worry. Kasi most likely, mangyayari dito is it could be actually trading range. So talaga tingin ko 1 to 2 yung trading range niyan. If umangat mo yun ng 250 or 3, still take profits. So usually talaga late na rin yung mga hahabol dyan eh. After a news flow, a 300-500% move, no, is already adequate enough to price in that transformation to the renewable energy zone. Now, for the wind farm, the solar farm, it's 270 megawatts at the end of the day. It's not 5,000 or, you know, it's not some surreal amount for a continuous sustainability for the stock price to move higher. AR is up 50%, APL is still continuing up 1%, so Dito is down 1%, your TVGI is down 7%, Merrimark is up 2% at 780, your FI is 286, your ABA is 25% up. What you'll notice is that your top 10 are all non-index names. Your ASEN is 655, your MRC is 76 cents. Basically, top 10 mo, all of them are actually penny stocks. None of them are index names. And you even have some non-index names creeping up. Like Apo is now, Apo 30% up, OPM 42% up. You've got OV 46% up. Ano pa to? AppV 27% up. VUL up 27%. IS 12% up. MG, no, all of these non-index names that are going up in just these past few days, I'd say that that is actually always a signal of froth, especially when you don't see volume every day and then biglang aangat siya today, no? So let's take a look at each one of them, no? Tingnan na muna natin top 10. So BSC, okay lang yan. Trim if you have it. AR, so umaangat na to kasi since last year pa, 2020. So extension move na to. Extension move na to eh. So you've seen it already go somewhere from the realm of about 10, umangat na siya ng 76 or 700%. As I said, kahit na nagbenta ka last week, benta ka ulit this day, and then even if tumaas pa yan, another sell. Kasi usually talaga, this has the habit of selling on spikes, no? Yan siya eh. Ganyan ang habit niya. Every ceiling move is usually a sell on every ceiling. So anyway, if you sold 50, 70, kahit na mag 100 yan, average mo 70, okay na rin. After what, 10? Imagine mo, that was like 5 years worth. Ano na yan, if you get to exit, sobrang swerte mo na. Kasi parang tanggal na lahat ng resistances dito, if ever man umangat pa ng 98 yan. So, okay lang yan. 70 plus mo pa ng 30%, mag-up na lang ng 100, big move na yan. 50% move 100. So, talagang sell on any ceiling move. Kasi may spike. That is the behavior of AR. Spikes and then babagsak for the next 5 years. Spike, babagsak for the next 5 years. If you don't sell on the spikes, baka next 5 years, 2025, sayang naman yung pera. So take advantage of the spikes. You've got these names, no? Top 10 being traded in the Philippines, panay penny stocks. So we already cautioned people on the MRC move that there are these spikes to sell into. Take note, lagi dito sa 90 cents, laging ipitan. So try to sell on the way higher. Even if this goes up to 25% next week, sell yan. So take profits while you can. Kasi ang problema, mabilis siya mag-up. Tapos pag hindi mo napansin yung stock portfolio mo, magbenta ka, bumabagsak ko. After about 3 years, may tendency siya talaga na not sustainable. So ingat lang, 90 cents to 9 cents, masakit yung 90% drop na yan. So the 10x move right now, habang 10 cents to 1 peso, take it out if you can. Kahit na mag-1 yan. So to be greedy on companies like these is not appropriate. Tingnan nyo na lang yung mga positions nyo. Take profits yan. TBGI, let's take a look. Okay, so TBGI rallied to about 65 cents. Bagsak siya ng 50 cents. However, yun, ganun din. Ayan, no? We really have a lot of spike selling. So, ingat lang, no? 60 cents, 80 cents, 70 cents. Puro mga profit-taking areas. May chance talaga eh. Umaangat yung mga galaw, so take advantage while they're rising. You saw OV and you saw what the other names, OPM rise, 50% up. Hindi siya masyado nagsisiling, diba? So chances are people are assuming na, this ceiling will go another higher. But even if it does go higher, no, so 19, i-plus mo pa ng 10, no, maging 29. These are still areas to be trimming from, exiting. Teka lang, guys. So, talagang chance to sell yan. Imagine mo, these are 8 years spent up resistances. You want to actually be exiting. Puro sell yan, ha? So, selling yan. No buying. It's mostly selling. If you're opting out of remember this, no? Not all good stocks would rise, but not all stocks that rise are good. Not all stocks that are rising are good stocks. You have to be very careful. If you're thinking that I'm going to hold it for long term, some of them are actually short-term moves. So yun, mostly talaga these moves, fly away din eh. Mabilis umangat tapos mabilis yung bumaba. So always be careful about these names. All right, let me try to look at your at comments, okay? So let's see. Ayan po, Ma'am Nikki. Ayan is gonna be, these are all speculative names. I understand people might actually be, voyeuring to a lot of these speculative names, seeing that lahat ng nagsuspike and drop, baka magkaroon ng balik-balikan sila. You would see naman, may spike, no? So may volume. If you bought today, as long as you're very fast, kasi yung ganyan, fast in, fast out yan. So it would not have anything to do with any fundamentals. Huwag masyadong mataas yung target nyo. If you can exit even just 20%, kahit na mag 100% sila, I'd say okay naman. So assuming you bought in today or even if you sold today, pwede rin eh. Kasi depends eh. If you're buying today, baka up ka na ng mga ilan. Kung bumibili ka kanina 130, 140, up ka na at least 10%. If you trim today, tapos kung dumiretso pa bukas, isa pang sell, I think it's not the time to be aggressive, guys. It's time to be actually more cautious rather than aggressive. I would assume that most of you would be trimming, even if you have it, concentrate more on the selling part. What do you think of Chelsea after swapping the shares last November 20? It's no longer in play. It's not highly traded. May pag-asa pa kaya ito tumaas this year. So usually yan yung problem, no? Especially for some names na nawawalan siya ng liquidity. So liquidity is your real problem. It's not really the price eh. Kasi pag wala ka nang mabentahan, forced to sell down ka eh. So yun, Chelsea, no volume, papitik-pitik, nagkakaroon ng volume, tapos mawawala, tapos may volume, tapos wala. That's why pag may volume yan, actually it's time to sell. Kaya nga yung mga nangyari dito sa MG, walang volume, tapos biglang may volume, it's actually time to sell. Kasi actually, ngayon lang yung chance mo na makalabas eh. If you had, I don't know, if you had this at about 20 cents or I don't know what price, 2016 for the last how many years, patay yan, tapos ngayon umaangat, you should be more careful and you should actually be on the selling prowl. Take advantage na yung lahat ng rallies in the market to sell, guys. Take advantage to sell, not buy. Kung wala kayo niyan, okay lang kasi hindi naman din priority eh. Okay lang, take profit and sell. If wala ka man nun, pasalamat ka na rin kahit na wala ka nun. Kasi usually these names, bagsak ng spike tapos biglang aangat. Alam mo yun? Patay tapos biglang nabuhay lang. It's like, I'd say zombie lang yan. So nothing to really be envious of. What's inside BSC? Actually, BSC had you can check out the January 13 Philippine Market Update 2021. We discussed that BSC they were sharing that they had they had plans for the last 7 years already to really reinvent themselves for renewable energy. Whether they can execute that, they're saying 2022, magkakaroon na sila ng 220 megawatts, 50 megawatts wind farm, solar farms, mga ganun, hydro farm pa ata eh. So you can actually read their entire news disclosures, but it's in essence, shortcut lang, it's renewable energy that they're trying to promote themselves. How about PHR? All right, PHR ganun din. Story on the casinos naman to, no? So PHR kasi is a Dennis Uy play. They're trying to raise money for their Emerald casinos in Cebu. Problema lang kasi you'll notice Emerald Casino is gonna be not opening since wala naman din travel, no? Tsaka gagawin pala nila yan 2022 pa yan. So what you can see here is they raised money already at 168. Diba? So they already raised money at the secondary offering, nagfu yan follow-on offering at 168. And then so far, I think what's happening with PHR is, nung una talaga, there was that 360. Kaya nga to tricky to kasi 360, resistance yan, either minority resistance to break out, or pwede rin, wala, resistance pa rin. So far, we're seeing really, ako, tansya ko, this has been just consolidating. Meron ka pa ring resistance sa 360, pero kung talaga mag-higher low yan, pag nag-break 360, diretso pa yan, 450 or 5. Wala ka talagang makitang chart na resistance dito kasi butas-butas to The real volume has happened 168 areas dun sa follow-on. So kahit na sabihin mo, may resistance sa 5, we don't know how big that resistance is kasi kung wala namang volume to, gaano kalaki yung resistance ng 5. So ang pinakamalaking resistance move ng PHR would be at 360, I think. So kung break yan, 360, malaki yung area dito sa 4 to 5. At the same time, kung hindi siya mag-break, asan yung bagsak, meron ka support sa 250 to 260. At the end of the day, this could also trade the range. Kasi natulog to from about below 3, nag-range trade din naman to So I think like parang sa PHR, if you have it, nasa 3 to 5% of your portfolio or 10% of the portfolio, check it out. Just let it be. Tingnan mo muna how the stock would move. Pa-consolidate mo muna. Kasi there's nothing to say except it's either it breaks 360 or it sleeps within 270 to 360 range. Pwede pa siyang bumagsak ng 250. Nothing can prevent it to fall. Good for momentum trading. It could pause. It depends kasi you can't say kung momentum move until it breaks out. mahirap to say, but I'd say that there are people willing to buy this kasi higher low siya than 168 and 2.5 eh. May higher low kasi si PHR. San Miguel has Monterey and URC has pork processing. They're running farms, very scientific. Yung backyard farms ang nakakatakot. All right, so it's good to actually see na if San Miguel and URC will not be affected with the pork, African swine flu fever virus, okay yun. Kasi that would mean na okay yung mga pork prices that we are buying from them, quality meat, hopefully naman. So it will actually address the shortage supply. So as long as meron tayong adequate pork needs, makakain ka pa rin ng pork liempo mo forever. All right, so nasabi na, okay, PHA, let's try to discuss that. PHA kasi guys, masyado na rin siya natulak. So this was all the fintech. Tapos yeah, they said about the cryptocurrency platform exchange. But at the end of the day, guys, masyado na to extended. So dito siguro when you were doing a greed phase, pwede pa eh. Nandito ko sa mga 40 cents, no? Actually, yung mga taong bumili sa 160, to me swerte na kayo na naka-3 pa yan eh. Kasi usually, pag ganito ka-extended, hindi ka na naka 100% vertical. So, I'd say masyado ng generous yung market sa'yo for PHA. Labas na yan. Kahit na mag-tres, mag-quadruple, mag-gokho pa yan. Kahit mag-siko, gokho yan. Benta na rin. Kasi parang you have to also be aware na there's nothing wrong if maghahawak ka pa, no? Pero hawak and then keep na lang free money. Lahat yan free money na i-keep mo, diba? Huwag ka na masyadong mag-greed dyan. 20 cents to 3 pesos, 15x in just what? Less than 3 months? Labas na yan, guys. Huwag kayo masyadong greedy dyan. What do you think about nowadays, PSEI small stocks so high? Nowadays, PSEI small stocks so high increase. I guess Eric is saying that all the small companies, micro caps, the speculative stocks are rising. Actually, guys, when you see speculative stocks rising, it's actually an impetus for you to sell on the spikes if you have it, and then do not be aggressive. Actually, speculative stocks rising, it doesn't end well eh. Usually, nagkakaroon ng chance na the trends would just evaporate, the liquidity gone after 5 days or 1 month after. So you have to take advantage of them while they're there. If you have it, actually, chances are you should sell. Sell up, sell up, sell up. Hindi siya parang 50 up, tapos next day 50 up pa rin, tapos next day 50 up. That's the point. 50 na 50 na 50 up. Sell, sell, sell. Sell si Kogon, sell ng Kogon, sell sa Kogon, go Kogon. Wait, biawkin lang. Titiboy, biawkin. What I meant was keep on selling. Doesn't matter, sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep on selling. Just keep selling. All HC, I guess it's left at about 359, no? Wala na siya sa top 10. So, ganun yun. That's a problem, no? Pag nawawala na sa liquidity, nawawala na. Okay, so 360, 380, 290. Wala, typical pullback lang to, guys. Logistics, no? Tapos momentum ends, nawala ng liquidity. Like all the restaurants din, diba? You'll notice, medyo tulog muna sila. With this drop, hintay ka if it actually finds a support at about 260. I know there will be a very strong support. Tansya ko dito naman sa higher low dito. Talaga breakout to sa 3, sa 12. So if you want to actually nibble, hintay ka kung magkaroon ng support sa 260 to 240. But I think like, it's legit. You just need to see whether next 3 months kung may buyers with buying the pullbacks. But personally, ako, I'd be willing to buy the drops in the market pag medyo we stabilized. Meaning, kunwari, nag-drop siya sa 260 for all HC. Kahit umangat siya ng 3, hintayin mo na lang yung retest. You don't need to get the first drop. Usually, pag nag-retest na siya sa kahit 290 or 280, you don't need to get the low eh. Just let it retest. Kasi 260 pwede mag-250, mag-240, diba? So just let it fall. Kahit sa higher low ka na pumasok. ACR, discussed ACR already eh, last couple of weeks. May, last week yata may nagtanong sa ACR. I said that ACR right now, it's sleeping within 1 to 150. You don't know if it's actually gonna break out. Pero if you're really bullish on ACR's fundamentals, kasi double move kasi si ACR. It has coal, may coal-fired power plants siya. So that's a negative. But also they've got hydroelectric, which is a positive. You have to understand that the world doesn't like coal-fired power plants, but the Philippines kasi has no choice eh. We already have coal-fired power plants. Hindi mo naman pwede shut down yan. We can't just automatically go renewable within the next year or so. We kind of need about 5 to 10 years or maybe 15 years just to really use more hydroelectric plants. So I'd say na mixed C ACR. It's not a pure play on renewable, but neither is it a pure play on coal, no? So yun, parang okay lang. Power energy play, pero hindi siya pure. FNI and tech, what do you think about FNI? FNI would just be following your Nicolasia. I'd say that trend yan, any pullback will just be bought. But yun, papatulugin mo lang yan. So extended move yan, no? There are some people probably taking a profit, taking profits ngayon sa Tres, 295. May extended moves to So higher low ng FNI 233. Don't assume na porket malakas yung trend, wala nang correction yan. If the market actually wanted to correct, even your FNI and nickel can actually get a correction. Kasi matirek to. Matirek yung mga charts ng Nicolasia and FNI. When you say matirek, ano lang, ayun, no? Sobrang tirek ng slope from about 150 to 6 peso times 4. Hindi impossible na babagsakan ka ng 25% or 30% correction. So pag naghihintay ka sa 5 below, okay lang, hintay ka muna kasi baka magbagsakan ka Hindi ko sinasabing babagsakin tomorrow. I'm just saying na it's not impossible for people to sell it at 560. Let's say people are selling FNI at 3. It's because nothing can stop them from selling at 3 if they wanted to, right? Why would they sell? Profit take lang. Okay, what do you think about tech? Ganun din. You have resistance at tech at 9 and 10, diba? They were raising money for their 5G. So any rise here at about 9 or 10, nandyan yung selling pressure mo. You've got that higher low, pero yan, higher low ka sa 6, diba? Ngayon, 725. Gitna yung 725. What do you think about Sun? Sun above 2 was a breakout in my view. And so right now, if it falls somewhere near 2, meron ka talagang support. Ngayon, rally pa rin siya, 240. When it fell nung 211, may nag-catch up buy ulit. Pero yun, higher momentum to Higher low, may volume. It's also just a play on your casino reopening. Pero I think the market really is voyeuring din kasi on which casino. Some people could argue gusto nila pa rin Bloomberry. Some people could argue PLC. So pantay-pantay yan. Tingnan mo yung Bloom. Reopening pick pa rin naman yan Diba? Pero ito mas tulog, nandito sa 818. Higher low pa rin yan. At some point in time, you need the sector to move together Parang nangyari rin yan sa Nicolasia and FNI. And even, at some point, pati yung mark, diba, umangat. Sector play lang yan. So, balik-balikan mo lang yung sector. If you like casinos, some people would bet on Bloom, some people would bet on PLC, some people would bet on some people would either bet on PHR actually kung casino bet, and then Sun. Some people would bet on Sun for their casino bet. Frutas released their 5 key strategies moving forward called 5. What do you think of this, fundamentally speaking? All right, so let's see. Kasi for me, it's good that they have these parang mission to address their business, diba? Frutas 5, let's see. Frutas 5, 4 hours ago. Subject of the disclosure, 5x5 vision. There's nothing wrong about a company helping their investors learn about their mission and vision. They're just explaining their goal, diba? So let's read it together. They're setting out a 5-year plan to actually hit their net income by 500 million pesos. This is called targeting. They want their revenues to be 5 billion pesos with an expansion network of at least 2,000 locations. How would they do that? They need to register an average growth of 30 to 40%. They want to mirror the growth that they've seen in the last 6 years to actually happen for the next 5 years, wherein they grew their revenues from just 300 million to about 2 billion pesos in just the last 4 years, 2015 to 2019. Similarly, their net margin expanded from 6 to 10%, showing that they are able to do cost expenses efficiency. Now, their business plan would, under acronyms of FIVES, fortify the leadership of their position where they are in. So market share growth dapat, or at least retain or grow. Innovate on their existing products, which is match their clients' evolving preferences, whether it's packaging, and then venture on new products and geographical regions, expand their kiosks, and then sharpen existing processes. In my view, this is more like a mission and vision speech. It's not an actual execution. Nothing wrong with that if you believe in if the company's goals, pero that's just goal setting. It's kind of like my team meeting plan ka lang, that's just a plan. That's not executed. Pwede tayo mag-plan, pero pag walang execution, wala rin. I'm not saying that that plans are not good. At the end of the day, plans are targeting. So if you believe that they can grow their revenues 40%, as they said, then you'd see that the company is fundamentally undervalued today if we truly register those growth plans. So, but my answer would be a question mark. Kasi COVID pandemic lahat hirap. If they can actually surprise on the upside, market will be happy. How about Asin and Dito? Ano lang yan, guys? Tingin ko kasi, tapos na yan eh. Outperformers are actually gonna be trimmed. So, Asin and Dito, tapos na yung large, fast money. Tapos na yan. Even if Asin goes up, I think that there are selling pressures at 8, 9, 7. So, any rallies of Asin, marami kang resistances. Marami ka pa rin resistance sa Dito Telecom. So, 11, 12, 13, you should be, I think Asin and Dito, ano na yan, take profit, sell further, dire-diretso pababa. I'm not sure if it will go 25% lower, pero if it rallies 20% higher, I'd say more sellers rather than buyers. PHR answered already. Will DD break down or is it a buy on 13? This will be the last na questions na, guys. There are so many questions. I'll end this so that I can go global markets already. EPL, sige, let's answer that kasi extended moves na to eh. To most of these extended moves, guys, you want to actually be selling kahit na dire-diretso yan. Lahat yan actually, you talked about, usually there is a saying in Wall Street, no? Parang you gotta leave the crumbs to the beggars. Parang leave some profits on the table. That is what you're talking about here. Leave the crumbs on the table. If you really want to sell, profit take na yan talaga. And then, if you're still holding winners, it's fine. Siyempre, mura cost mo, okay lang. Kung talagang mura cost mo, hawakan mo kahit na mag 45 or 50 cents. Pero if ever it falls man, let's say hindi na umangat yan, bagsak ka rin, sell ka rin. So parang babatuhan mo yan eh. Up or down, binibentahan yan. Bentahan to eh. Hindi to buying mode eh. Selling pressure mode na yan. So BSC is not a good position to be at. If you got in, chances are fast money yan. Quick entry, quick out. Fast in, fast out. Hindi yan, FIFO na yan. Hindi first in, first out. Last in, first out. The LIFO ka. You're last in, labas ka if you can. Kasi parang, if you're the last, baka ikaw pa maipit eh. So, yun. Will DD break down? Wala siya sa top 10 trading names, pero diyan, tulog lang siya for the last couple of days. So, I'd say that there's no momentum, even on the upside, on the downside. So, wala. It could just sleep. Mapansin mo, November, December, January, patay lang, no volume. So, what happens is, usually, pag no volume, you call them the apathy zone, no, disinterested zone. Nobody's willing to buy, nobody's willing to sell. Kahit siguro bagsakan ka, 13, 14. So, wala. Wala lang talagang interest. It's called the no interest zone. Pag walang interesado, it's apathy. So, mas mabuti pang mamatay ka na lang kesa, sometimes people like may hate or may greed. When you say hate, at least may capitulation. Pag apathy kasi, wala talaga eh. Apathy is, it's kind of like wala siyang care. Like, think about a girl, wala siyang care, ignore siya. Hindi siya hate sa'yo, hindi niya rin ikaw love. So, it's an apathy. I don't know if you like a company that's in apathy zone, pero emotionally, the double dragon is in the apathy disinterest zone. You can't say anything. It's neutral. It's not bullish. It's not bearish. It's just neutral. Okay, thank you very much, guys. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Thank you for watching again. Bye-bye.